I'm on mute. Anyways, what's up, everybody? Chris Mason, Chris Griffin here, Horns Down Podcast and Sooners 360 Connect for your Sooners intel on the recruiting trail. Guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's jump into this intro and we'll be right back. All right, people, we are here with another recruiting podcast. People, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Remember, we try to keep these things short. We may be here for a little bit because there's been a lot, I mean, a lot of recruiting news that you guys need to hear about. We got commits, we got decommits, we got news about LSU visitors and different things like that. We just picked up a commitment from a guy that I know Chris Mason and Jason have been excited about for a long time coming, and that has finally came to fruition. But that being said, guys, please go down there, like, subscribe, do all those different things. Help grow these channels, Sooners 360 and the Horns Down podcast. Both of us trying to hit that 1,000 mark for sure. So definitely help your brothers out for sure. So with that being said, Chris Mason, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Well, hold on. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I know it's been a minute. You guys haven't seen me. Um, Great win, LSU game. Almost shit myself. That game was very stressful. Regardless, though, guys, we got 3 weeks to get better. We are in the playoffs. I think we're a lock. Everybody considers us a lock except for Joel Klatt for whatever reason. I don't know what we did wrong or where that relationship went wrong. I guess it's a Fox thing. Regardless, though, Chris Mason, let's jump into it. Let's talk about the commitments that we picked up. It seems like we got commitments in two classes, right? We got 26 and 27 to talk about right now. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so since the last time we met, we were talking about Jonathan Hatton. OU has gotten 6 commitments. Markel Ford fell on Wednesday. He's a 2026 safety, 6'1", 205 pounds. Stephen Parker kind of maybe as a comp there, I would say. Then we got Jaden Petit on Thanksgiving. As I was going to my late Thanksgiving dinner, that dropped, and that was just crazy. I've always said on this podcast that I like him as Malcolm Kelly. If you guys remember Malcolm Kelly, I think Jaden Petit might be the best big wide receiver we've signed since Malcolm. Then on game day, we got Crew Jones, the 2027 defensive end, 6'5", 230 pounds. Who does he remind me of? Dan Cody, maybe? Maybe a Dan Cody kind of guy? Because he's going to be 6'5", 250 before it's all done. He's in great shape. He's a little bigger than Jake Krull, but if you have him on one side and Krull on the other side, quarterbacks are going to get decapitated. Crew Jones is a massive pickup for the Sooners. He could lead to a couple other commits very easily. 2027 top 100 guy. Then, surprisingly, we got a guy I knew who was visiting, but I didn't know much about, Trayvon Hall from Tuscaloosa. He's 6 foot 180. His film is very Mark Clayton-like. Can he freestyle like Malcolm Kelly? I don't think anybody freestyles like Malcolm, but Jaden's got serious game. But Trayvon Hall, 2027 wide receiver, he is making people miss. You can't tackle him in a phone booth. He is cutting. He's fast. He accelerates fast. He's physical. He plays a lot of running back for his high school as well as wide receiver.
Yeah,
he's got serious game.
I was just gonna jump in, Chris Mason, and say my uncle sent me his film. And I was like, he's a utility guy. I mean, you could use him all over. I mean, he whatever you need him to be, wherever you need him to be, he's there and he can do it all. And he's a guy that with some of the plays, the easy plays, um damn, why am I saying the jet sweeps, different things like that, those actions or whatever. This is a guy that is very dynamic and doesn't. He only needs one block to make something happen. Chris Mason, keep going.
I mean, he avoids people. He makes people miss. You got to really hit him to knock him down. So that's an interesting pickup for 2027. Then Kristen Moore, the linebacker from Alabama, who was verbal to North Alabama, but he has a bunch of other Power Four offers. And OU's kind of been trying to keep him on the sly a little bit, I think. He verbaled today. He's 6'2", 225. Comp, probably Kobe McKenzie is probably a good comp. If he works on his sideline to sideline stuff like OU has worked with Kobe and works on his coverage skills, it's been proven that in the SEC, OU still needs a thumper in the middle to deal with the Ahmad Hardys, Kieran Lacey's of this world, right? And Moore will do that. He will knock the crap out of you. So he's really good. I like his film. He's pretty underrated right now. But again, keep saying that. That's what Nagy's going to stack our class a little bit with some high potential, high ceiling guys that have low NIL numbers to develop on our defense while our current group is manning the defense. We need a flow of steady guys in 2027, 2028 to come in and start playing, and I think Moore could be one of those guys. And then out of nowhere, a guy I will legitimately say before Brandon Drum posted it on OU Insider and it kind of got posted around the Twitterverse and the internet, I have never heard of this player before. He is Keldred Ben from Montgomery, Texas, 5A school. This year he had 1,500 yards on about 150 carries, 10 yards per carry, and he's 5'10", 210, something like that. And he is Samaje Perine-like. That comp's been thrown around on OU Insider. Happen to agree with it based on his film. He bounces off tacklers, or tacklers are bouncing off him. He runs through trash. He has good speed, good acceleration. He's a good receiver. His frame probably you'd add another 10, 15 pounds to it, so he could be similar to Ahmad Hardy, who we just saw, who was he's about 5'9", 215, 220. He could be a similar back to that. But I know he got an offer on the 25th that no one knew about, and he committed today, and it took a little while before anybody really realized that commit was legit. So Rivals on 3 is building his profile as we speak, or they built it a couple of hours ago. So he came out of nowhere, and 2027 running back, OU already has Jackson Stokes, who's sort of an all-purpose guy. But Ben is he's a bigger guy, very explosive, and just runs through trash and is just difficult to tackle. Like, guys just bounce off him, and he just keeps going. He's like, yeah, you're not tackling me. Yeah, you're not tackling me. And just running ball deep, long touchdown runs where he's showing really good speed and acceleration. So a shocking verbal commitment, but the film looks good. I don't know where he'll end up ranked, but I think Trayvon Hall should easily be in the top 300, top 250. And at running back, Keldred Ben, what I saw today looked top 200 like easily, because he's playing good. He's playing really good teams. 5A, his district for Montgomery, Texas, 5A is really good. He plays good teams, good opponents. So that's a quick 7-minute slam through 6 verbal commitments for you, Chris.
Yeah, and I think I know people. I want to say people were excited about the Bathurst kid, right? I know.
Sorry, I missed him. You know what? I missed him in he dropped on. Was it Thanksgiving Day too, or was it Thanksgiving?
It was somewhere around there.
Yeah, so Bathurst, I forgot about Dane Bathurst, who could be a defensive end, could be a Mike linebacker for OU, could be kind of a hybrid defender. He's 6'4", 6'3", 230 from Indiana. Was at Tampa Plant High School in the Tampa area. I mean, physically, he looks great. I mean, he looks like another what happened? Why isn't he ranked higher kind of guy? And OU is going to try him at backer, and then I think they'll move him to end if that doesn't work. They got some flexibility with him. I think that's everyone. That's
That
7.
does that does seem like that's all the commits that we have,
I
or
mean, I
all the
mean,
commits that have recently
I
committed.
mean that's 7. It's 7 since the last time we met. That's incredible. That's crazy.
So what is that? What does that put the total of the class at?
Well, we're up to 10 for. We're at 10 for 2027, and we are at. Let's go. Commitments. Because there's been some. We'll get to some. We'll get to the subtractions. Yeah, that's 24 for 2026.
Okay. Well, let's go. Let's go ahead. I mean, it's a perfect segue going to the decommits.
Yeah, Braden Allen, once Kiffin got hired, went out and said he decommitted from OU. He's obviously going to LSU. He's not pulled the trigger officially on that yet. Maybe he's going to wait until signing day. Not really sure, but that's kind of where he is. Ja'Cory Smith, OU kind of seemed to separate from him. I think a little bit because they wanted to pick up Bathurst and Moore at linebacker. So OU's traded away a Will linebacker to have more Mike, Will have more depth at Mike and Will. So I think they preferred Jacob Curry, who's closer to playing, I think, in the SEC, and is a little bit longer, bigger, just as fast, just as athletic. And then they've added 2 Mike linebackers to shore up the Mike linebacker position. And Bo Jandro is back to playing now. I've been concerned that he wasn't playing. He's playing. He's racking up stats. He could also play Will linebacker too in the OU scheme. T-Ron Richardson has decommitted. He's going to Tech. I guess he's probably going to wait and announce on signing day, but I don't think. I think he's. There's some speculation on the internet that he's pissed off OU by going to take a VodTech official and decommitting. That OU's kind of like, hey, you know what? If you want to go do that, that's fine. I get the sense VodTech has probably offered him a bigger bag than OU's offering. And OU is like, we don't have to play those games. And I'll be honest, Chris, this seems like an old-time dumb move to not be coached by Todd Bates and be part of the best defensive line group in the country.
Yeah, that
I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing, son?
I I don't know with how that defensive line is playing right now, the development and all the rest of that. I don't know. I know it's the money is there. As my uncle says, hey, money talks, bullcrap walks, right? But
Yep.
at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know. I feel
Maybe
like
maybe there's some family stuff. He wants to be closer to home, and I get that. But still, you're you know it looks like a very silly short term decision.
yeah. Let's
So
see. Topher got something right there. Franklin can take that spot and move inside freaky measurements. Anything to add to that?
I think Topher is right. So we can get to him in a second if you want.
Yeah.
So first, we need to talk about someone for 2026 who's no longer in play. Jonas Muya, the big offensive tackle from Indianapolis, he just didn't visit. He canceled it. He wants to stay closer to home. He's probably going to go to Purdue or someone like that. I think the pitch of earlier playing time maybe helped as well. Again, I don't know what you're doing. A guy who puts NFL tackles into, routinely does it, wants you to come develop at OU and become an NFL offensive tackle, and you're going to trade that away to stay at home and go to Purdue. Okay. All right. Again, maybe distance is a factor. I don't understand that. Distance was never a factor in what I did in college. So I went 1,000 miles away from home. Was happy with that decision. So, but I know some people need to be around their family for college, and I guess that's a decision too. But OU's still in play for Noah Beebe, the offensive guard from the Houston area. Obviously, the Tulane coach Sumrall's trying to get him to follow him to UF. That's probably a signing day drama that will get closed out. Malike Franklin, as Topher just mentioned, also visited. OU looks to be leading there. He's 6'5", 6'6", 255. Could he be 6'5", 290? Yeah, he could be. Could he be a three tech or something better than that? Or basically an attacking defensive tackle? Yeah. He could also be a big defensive end. So that kid has nothing but ceiling and runway to develop. So yes, you could move him inside. Yeah, if they wanted to, or if he develops that way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, OU's got, as you said, we've got kids from California and Delaware. OU's recruiting nationally. Why a kid from Virginia or Indiana can't step on board, I don't know. But the closeness argument always ends up, you end up losing some kids because of that, and gaining some kids because of it too. So it ends up playing, it ends up evening out for the most part. But yeah, I think probably that's a factor with Richardson and Mua, that why they're gonna stick to club places closer to home.
Well, again, there's some new shiny toys out there, man. You got Franklin at Vodtech.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see what kind of class Lane scrouges up in these last few hours before
The
the
uh, the new Arkansas guy grabbed 4 commitments today. Ja'Cory Smith, a couple of defensive linemen, and who have committed to 4 schools already. So they've been shopping themselves around quite a bit. He picked up somebody else to a running back, I think from Missouri, from Mizzou. So yeah, Fathead. Yeah, we've had some. We've lost 3 players. Yeah, I mean this is what signing day is like when there's an aggressive market with 4, 5 coaches in region swapping positions. Oklahoma State, LSU, Ole Miss, Auburn, Florida, Kentucky is hiring Will Stein. It looks like that'll go down to that tonight, I think. And Kalani Satake is going to go to Penn State. It looks like, which is just kind of bizarre. Tristan Griffin has a great point. So let's remember. So Nagy's claim to fame was finding guys from the lower levels of colleges to go to the Senior Bowl to get exposure in front of NFL scouts. That's what he did. So it is clear now that Nagy is taking that process, whatever that process was that he had clearly established over a 10-year career, he's mapping that process over high school recruiting. So we are finding the guys that in 2 years would have been the high profile Ahmad Hadis and stuff like that
yeah.
at smaller schools that you would pay for. So he's finding those guys in high school. He's got his scouting team working and going through film from all over regions, and they're finding guys that they said, in 2 years this guy would go here and then he'd be here. Why don't we just bring him here and develop him and avoid the upcharge of having to purchase him, pay whatever he's worth in the portal. It's always going to be cheaper to bring these guys in and develop them than goes looking for them in the portal. So yeah, that's what we're seeing. This is the first Nagy signing day, and it's already chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 7 verbal commitments. We've lost some guys because Nagy again is, well, if somebody else is offering you more money, take it. We're not matching it. And you've got to understand that there's a calculation going on here. If you're on my Patreon, you already know this because I talked all about these recruiting strategies. There is a calculation Nagy has where years until you're really contributing, right, times your positional value times your ceiling, and that's where he's coming up with an NIL number for you. So from that perspective, I'm sure Ja'Cory Smith said, "Hey, my NIL number isn't as high as I would like it to be." That's what he told reporters, and OU said, "Well, Ja'Cory, we like Jacob Curry better, and we need to get another Mike linebacker in, so we've had to adjust your number." And he said, "Well, I don't like that." And OU said, "Well, okay, that's fine." And he's going to go to Arkansas. And you know, Ja'Cory. I love Ja'Cory as a prospect. I was consistent in that in pod after pod, but he needs to add weight to play in the SEC. He's 6 foot, 6'1", 195. Jacob Curry is 6'1", nearly 210. It's a 15-pound difference. We know what it took for Kip Lewis was outplaying everybody at linebacker, but it took 2 years before he could really hit the field and impact OU effectively.
It's true. It's true.
So if you're so if you if you take 2 years before you can, the third year is when you'll start to impact stuff. Well, that means you get X dollars. You know, you can't have 5-star money sitting on the sideline. It's got to be on the field.
Yeah. And
So so that's what you see this year with our 5 stars playing like 5 stars, right?
I think Nagy is in a position, especially for now, until for I mean, I do believe in all my heart of hearts that this whole time frame conundrum or whatever with all the new coaching hires having to get there before, after, all the rest of the stuff with the recruiting, I think all of that's going to get fixed at some point. But for now, I think Nagy probably has his eye on the prize because I feel like Nagy and crew are cognizant of the fact that OU's future is bright, but OU has a right now type of window, if that makes sense to you, Chris Mason. They have a right now type of mindset to where, hey, we can go compete for a national championship these next couple of years, right? I think that the eye is probably more or less on the portal right now. You're wanting to bring in guys, which I do believe you're bringing in a few guys that are going to be able to contribute early and often next year. But at the same time, I think that you have to find that balance. You have to be able to stand on business and stand on it top of a hill and die on it if you need to with some of these kids. Because at the end of the day, 2 year development train is great, but that doesn't necessarily help you in the immediate future if you do lose you losing the G babies, the R Mason Thomas, guys like that who are deaf, like a G baby who's a deaf piece, but honestly is a starter for us, who has been a starter for us in the absence of Jaden Jackson, but also a guy who can go start for any SEC team across the nation, right?
Yeah.
Um, or any team, matter of fact, across the nation. Regardless, though, from what I'm saying is that I just think that there's a balance that you have to find. I think that okay, we have the pieces that we want for right now. I think this 26 class, again, I think from everything we've talked about and all of that, I think that this class was really supposed to be more or less just that, hey, this is going to be our kind of foundation, like our depth class that adds to our depth and keeps that competitive depth going to where we could get guys in here in the next year and a half that can actually contribute, right? I think things flip midway through the season whenever you start seeing all the success, and then you're like, oh, snap, we go on the road and beat Bama. We go on the road and beat Tennessee. We beat South Carolina. We rebound. We play a close game against Ole Miss. We do all the right things, and you see what's happening. And now you see flipness, and so now the attitude has changed towards this 26th class, and the fact that now even those who were holding this 27 class in high regard for what it can be, now the expectation for this 26 class has changed, I believe. I know I talked to my uncle about that. I think the expectation is that, hey, these kids can come in and compete for spots now. And I think you're starting to see a lot of those type of kids filter into this 26 class. Don't get me wrong, there's still those kids who are going to need at least 2 years, if not more, to really develop into what they're going to become. But still, right?
Well, they're stuck behind guys
Yeah,
that I mean, it's going to be hard for a safety to be an impact freshman contributor. This is sort of stuff I'd like, I'll talk about on Wednesday, doing various stuff for signing day. But if you ask me who are the top 5 guys I think are impact freshmen in this class, it's Jonathan Hatton, It's Jake Krull. It's Brian Harris. It's Jaden Petit. And it's maybe Jasir Rogers from Delaware, right? The speed receiver. So, and then it's either him or Tyler Ruxer, the tight end, the really talented tight end from Indiana that OU got the commitment from. So, those are your 5, 6 guys I think could impact the roster. There's obviously a heavy offensive lean to the guys I just described because we return so much on defense. But I do think you could see guys like Jacob Curry quickly getting into the mix at linebacker. I think Derek Johnson at cornerback, fighting a deep room, but he's got obviously the measurables to contribute there. I think Daniel Norman and Nelson probably redshirt, but if one of them came in and really took advantage of enrolling early, I think one of those guys could be a contributor at defensive end. They've got the speed and the acceleration and quickness. I think Bo Bentley quickly gets into the QB backup QB discussion, depending upon how he does when he enrolls early. Let's not forget the fact that he's an elite quarterback. He's in the top 50 in the country by several services. So, yeah, but there are some other players, and I do think Noah Best and Deacon Schmidt can quickly fight for the two deep, but in the offensive line, they both have the potential to. Best could be a center, and Schmidt can play right guard, and he can play right tackle. He can play either guard spot or right tackle. So there's some flex. They both have some positional flexibility and versatility to help there. So yes, I think, but there's certain guys like, I think James Carrington is probably kind of like a Grayson Holton type, but he might need a redshirt year to get ready to help. Brian Harris could make some noise early, or he could redshirt. From that perspective, on the defensive tackle side of things, the wide receivers, I think, Jasir Rogers and Pettit are probably the two best bets to contribute. Although I do think the Odom kid from California has a lot of skill. Played at really high level, played a lot of difficult football. So, yeah, there's some options there. The Jandro twins, probably redshirt, although I could see both of those guys on special teams knocking the crap out of people. So you could see them contributing on on special teams early. Nico is a cheetah, so that there could be some. Depending upon our cheetah depth and who we move around, he could find some noise there quickly. But yeah, I mean, there's some pieces, there's some projects, some guys with high ceilings that just need some time to percolate. Matt Nelson is one of those guys who seems to need some time, but if he could quickly blow up once he gets coached by Chavis and hits an OU weight room. So yeah, it's an interesting class, and OU. I mean, 3 of the top guys in the class they picked up in the last 30 days. Jasir Rogers, Jonathan Hatton, and Jaden Petit. 3 flips of 3 elite skill guys that we badly needed in the class.
All right. I think you had on here, I think we probably hit on this, but you said not in play in 26, and who is still in play in 26?
Noah Beebe and Malike Franklin. The 2 guys. I think right now, if you had to ask me, I think OU picks up both of those guys. Abibe as a center guard, along with Noah Best. That gives you 2 good guys there. And then, Deacon Schmidt is your tackle. The only other thing is Chris, is the 2027 visitors. OU put on a show Saturday, and they had a big group of 2027 kids on campus, including Elijah Harmon, 6'3", 300-pound defensive tackle from California. Second visit to OU. He's deciding 12-7, and things seem to be trending that way for the Sooners. George Toya was on campus. He's a top 100 defensive tackle who used to be in California. His brother played at UCLA and is probably a fringe NFL guy. He moved to Texas. This was his first visit to Norman. Everything seemed to go really well there. Taven Epps was back on campus. Sooner Scoop has now predicted him to be a Sooner. Juju Johnson visited. He's delayed his decision. He was supposed to go December 1st, and he's pushing that off for a little bit. I don't really know the source of that, but doesn't seem like OU's falling off. And then we had two elite tight ends on campus. Seneca Driver from Kentucky, kind of a Jermaine Gresham clone, 6'6", 6'7", 235, every athleticism you'd want. And then we had Zach Ferris, also a top 150, top 100 type tight end from Vegas. He's 6'5", 230. He was on campus having a good time. So OU definitely trying to add more tight end help from some national prospects.
The Kentucky kid, we got a head start. Got to improve offensively. We already know that, but Will Stein basically coming in there to Kentucky. That's going to be interesting. How that throws a wrench into some things, right?
Yeah, but Kentucky had to pay off Stoops. So I
Yeah,
don't know how much money they're really going to have for Will Stein to really throw around. And he's visited OU twice. And let's just face it, the last image he probably saw in Kentucky is Kentucky getting curb stomped by a bad Louisville
yeah.
team. So
Who?
I don't know if that's really well, it's going to be different here. It's going to be very different here. If you're a high profile kid at Notre Dame and OU and Alabama, they're your top three.
Yeah,
Can Kentucky really dent that with those teams extending a really big lead? It's
that's
hard to say. It's hard to say.
so. Who? So let me go ahead and ask you this question here. Is just do you see any last minute flips on Wednesday as far as to the Sooners, or you think that this class is pretty much set in stone?
I think OU gets. It's hard to know, Chris. There's so much chaos and action going on right now with kids decommitting and dumping their teams and moving on elsewhere. I think OU probably adds Noah Abibi and Malike Franklin, and then that's 26 kids, and then they call it a day. But Florida just hired Sumrall, and they also just hired a former Jacksonville Jaguars GM, right?
Yeah,
That's their GM. So has that upset the apple cart with Davion Gross? I don't think it has, but it's certainly not what he thought. He may have thought that he was going to go play for Lane Kiffin and they were going to throw the ball all over the place and it was going to be exciting. And now he's got John Summerall, who's more of a defensive head coach. And Florida and the GM might walk in the door and say, well, how much money do we have for this freshman? I just met with Preston Wilson and Dallas Wilson and DJ Lagway's people, and they're all demanding this to stay. So tell Davion Gross, new GM, old deal off, new deal. If we don't renegotiate, we wither and die. So any fraction or friction there with Florida and Davion Gross could call Norman and say, I'm taking the OU offer. And OU would say, come on down or come on up. And he's already visited OU. He's been OU, 3-4 times. He has family in the Oklahoma City area. So that would be a flip that could happen or could not happen. So that could be something. I don't believe there were any names that floated into Norman that floated out of Norman without being reported on. But Chris, it was so chaotic with the LSU game and with Thanksgiving that I wouldn't say I feel confident saying that somebody didn't sneak into Norman for a visit.
yeah,
It was just, there was so many people on campus, so much stuff going on, so many verbal commitments. I mean, the game day atmosphere, the post-game atmosphere and celebration was crazy in Norman, according to my reports from folks that were on the game. They said it was just amazing with all the seniors and everything that, could somebody have slipped through the cracks? Yes, very easily. But I don't think we're seeing any big surprises. And of course, for those that followed recruiting for a long time, I was living in Chicago in 2015, I think it was 2014, picking up some chicken shawarma because OU had signed their entire class, and then my phone rings and somebody says Orlando Brown has signed. I'm like, what? He hasn't talked to OU for like 12 months. So stuff happens on signing day,
Yeah.
and if Nagy's with some of the guys who've fallen off, if that's given Nagy some more money, he could call somebody who was like, yeah, I want to come to Norman, but I need this, and they could flip him quickly. Because lots of kids visited as juniors on junior days who were no longer recruiting. You know, it could get a little weird, but I don't think so right now. But again, Chris, if you'd asked me 30 days of the guys that we have committed, the only guy I thought we might get was Jaden Petit. I didn't think we were getting Hatton. I didn't think we were going to get Michael Ford. I didn't even know who Dane Bathurst was. Kristen Moore I had heard of due to Jason Watkins. Jason had tipped me off about Kristen about 2 months ago, but OU didn't appear like they were going to offer him. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. We'll see where they go. I mean, does somebody get to T-Rod Richardson and tell him, no, you should call OU, beg and plead to rejoin the class because not playing for the best defensive line in the country is a stupid-ass decision? Yeah. But Braden Allen's gone to LSU. That's gone. He's gone.
Yeah. I don't. I think the whole if anybody is holding out for like a Peyton Houston as well, I think that's
gone.
yeah.
But the kid we have offered that it seems to be trending to OU is playing his ass off in the Alabama playoffs and looks great. So I would say this might be a situation where it all ends up working out for OU in a positive way because that kid looks dynamite and he has nothing but ceiling. You do worry a little bit with someone like Peyton Houston who started as a freshman, has 3 seasons in, has gone to every camp, has gone here, there, and everywhere. If on some level, is he kind of maxed out? And he's short. He's 5'10". Peyton's not a big kid, so But neither was Bryce. Bryce Young, and that worked out for Alabama, and seems to finally have broken for the Panthers. So you never know, but yeah, I don't think there's anything going on with Peyton Houston now that Lane's in town. The Lane train's in town. I don't know what Mississippi's going to do. The Golding thing, I think, seems like a gross overreaction, but that's just my opinion.
Guys, I cannot wait for the portal to open up. Portal Combat Part 2. This this upcoming this January. That is going to be mayhem those days, and hopefully we're still playing around that time as well. That would be pretty nice, Chris Mason. But is there anything else that you have?
Just that just like this is the first signing day with Nagy and the front office team, and it's making a massive difference. Just like that, the portal thing's going to be crazy with Nagy and his staff and his full staff in place. I mean, we got a little taste of it in spring when Nagy was able to pull off getting us Sandell and Makala, and he screwed up getting Ott and didn't do his homework there. Hopefully he's learned from that decision. But yeah, it's going to be, we got 3 weeks of craziness, Chris. Yeah. I mean, we got, it's going to be crazy. We're going to be doing portal and guys, 2027 is just not stopping.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think we were getting Crew Jones on game day. And don't ignore that. That's a massive pickup for OU. He's heavily connected to Zane Rowe, the defensive end from Denton, who was on campus as well. And this safety out of Utah called Bode Sparrow, who's super talented, 6'2", 200 pounds. plays wide receiver, plays safety. OU wants him as a safety, and Chris, he's just exactly what OU would need. There's going to be some uncomfortable conversations, Jimmy. I think with some players. I think Topher, you are correct. I think we could see Jamison Roberts on board as the OU quarterback. I think we're going to see some guys leave. There's going to be some uncomfortable conversations. Some guys we really want to stay, but I think OU's going to have to make some decisions on some players. Some guys are obvious. We're not going to go down those lists of names. That's not what this is. This is signing day happiness.
Yeah.
We'll have an hour long recruiting intel. We'll extend recruiting intel. It'll be portal intel. Maybe we won't change the title, but we're going to have that. We're going to have that review session where Chris and I go through the guys leaving and what do we think? Is that a plus? Is that a minus? And we're going to have that, and we're going to have that session once the portal opens officially. Once OU, we'll see. But overall, I mean, don't discount 3 weeks of OU playoff discussion and the social media impact and the social impact on that on players, on commits, on OU targets, right? 2027 and 28 kids are all going to hear for the next 3 weeks about playoff OU.
Wait, as JB said, winning solves everything.
It, it, it does.
Red Nose says, Chris, how many players are graduating, and how many players do you think that will create openings for new players? I mean, that. Oh, you posted who all the seniors were, and there was a shit ton of seniors. I was
Well,
surprised.
and remember, we got the 105 number.
Yeah,
We strongly believe OU's operating under a 105 scholarship number.
yeah.
So that changes everything. But I would think,
And the fact of the matter is that some of those kids can come back because it's crazy. Because obviously, Kobe, Kip, um, Satania. There's a world where there's a bunch of kids that could come back. I even heard that now he should go. He should go. But I even heard there's a world where like a Halton or R. Mason Thomas could come back if they wanted to because of the COVID year.
no,
Which,
they weren't. They weren't COVID.
okay,
No,
okay, they weren't COVID year.
no, no.
Either way, there's still a bunch of guys who have some eligibility left, so you kind of have to figure it out. But I do think there are going to be some difficult conversations with some guys, and I think it's going to be. I don't be surprised. I don't think you're going to see a mass exodus. Okay, but don't be surprised if you see some guys that you thought the world of, that I thought the world of offensively, that you see gone. I mean, in my earnest opinion, um, whether that's wide receiver, running back, different things like that. And trust, guys, there's some guys that we already know the writing's on the wall simply because they've wrote it themselves. Uh,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
hasn't really harmed us one bit. But at the same time, we get it, right? But there are some guys I think there are going to be some wow. Like I didn't really see that coming, but you'll be able to get that news right here with me and Chris Mason when we talk about the portal that gives and takes,
I mean,
right?
the defense is so stacked.
Yeah,
There are some guys that are probably just looking at, okay, how can I get on the field? I need to go somewhere else to get on the field.
yeah, yeah,
And that's sad, but there'll be some conversations. There'll be some guys that have just fallen behind younger players who may think, okay, it's time for me to move on. There'll be some guys you're like, okay, I expected that, but there's always one or two surprises. But we don't. But the culture Brent's built is going to allow OU to retain guys for the most part, right? They want to be here. They want to be Sooners. If their NIL package isn't significantly reduced and things like that, that's also a factor that will go on too. Like, look, I got 3 guys ahead of you now. Last year you were a starter. Now you're a fourth team. You're fourth in the rotation here. I can't pay you starter money.
So to end this real quick, Brandon, he says, will RMT be healthy for a playoff game? James Strice says, unless he re-injures himself, RMT is a lock to play in the playoffs. And that's my expectation. I think that, hey, R. Mason Thomas has been offered basically what, damn near 4 or 5 weeks. I think that you're doing everything in your power just to keep him healthy. You won the games you had to. Once you got to the Missouri game and to the LSU game, I think that's whenever you were like, "Hey, we have what it takes to beat these two teams to give him extended rest." I think now, if you're asking anything, is can you get Gentry back? I think for me that's kind of the biggest thing. If not, then we got to just circle the wagon and go from there. Oh, Jake Jackson, got to get him healthy as well.
And he seemed healthier. He seemed like he was playing better against LSU than he had prior weeks.
Uh huh.
And RMT, I mean 6 weeks, right? That should be enough to heal the quad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And,
mean,
and that's the whole thing. Is just getting healthy at the right time. Give him Mateer more time to get healthy. But for me, I
and
would say,
Blaylock and
yeah, and
Xavier.
Blaylock and X Rob got to
Yeah,
have it.
yeah.
I'll say this right here to end this. Joe Klatt, I don't know what we did. I don't know where this
Did we
relationship
kick his
is.
dog? Did we kick his dog?
If it's Fox, ESPN War, and all the rest of this stuff, I get it.
Did
But
Chris Felica fall down on his
hold
head?
on, hold on, Chris Mason. I just got to say this.
All right, I'll put myself on mute.
Here's what I got to say. Okay, you can talk about our offense. You can say this about our offense. You can do whatever you want with the offense. But here's what neutralizes a lot of what's going on. If we play Notre Dame today, Chris Mason will tell you, he'll back me up on this. You can unmute yourself, Chris Mason. You're giving Brent Venables 3 weeks. Excuse me, you're giving him 2 to 3 weeks to just watch you, game plan for you, figure out what do you love to do. Oh, you like to run with Jeremiah? Okay, you got a back over. Okay, that's great. But if you're giving BV 2 to 3 weeks to basically game plan for you, that neutralizes a lot of what's going on. Why? Because now CJ Carr has to throw probably 40 times. Like everybody's early Heisman winner, Ty Simpson, probably has to throw for 40 plus times to keep the game close. Just being honest with you, because I don't think you're going to be able to run like that on us. I don't think that you're going to. They don't spread it out and just go crazy. They have the ability, but who have they played? We're not. Nobody's worried about Pitt. Nobody's worried about Stanford. Nobody's worried about Syracuse. Nobody's worried about any of those teams. And my whole thing is this right here. If was the fifth, we all be drunk. But I'll say this right here: if OU plays a non-SEC team in that first round, what does that look like? Because if they're not playing SEC talented type defenses, right? Like, what does that look like? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of questions out there. There's a whole bunch of unknown. I know the offense is not playing up to par. I know that the special teams and the defense are leading the way. That may be what it takes, right? I,
That's what Notre Dame did last year.
I'm just saying, let's get to the matchups. Let's get to the seeds. Let's figure out what that looks like first before we start putting teams in this picture and that picture and that picture, right?
Matchups make fights.
And I'd be damned, Chris Mason, if we get bumped out, we get bumped down, or whatever the case may be, given the fact that, look, lost to Texas, give it up to them. Lost to Ole Miss, give it up to them. We won every other game that mattered. We won every other game that mattered.
I'd rather, if I was an opponent, I'd rather play OU in Norman than on the road.
Yeah,
OU's undefeated on the road.
yeah. I just don't. This is not a team that you want to play because it's still out there, folks. The fact that we could see September Mateer at some point. Can Keontez Lewis get healthy? Have our four. We have have our three. Excuse me, our 4 to 5 wide receivers. Have our running backs healthy. Can we get a healthy X Rob? There are certain things where you just say, if it clicks, it could be very scary. JD McKell has been saying that, I think, since the South Carolina game, which is, if OU can get things right with this offense, nobody wants to play them in the playoffs. That's the scariest team in the nation because of that defense.
I wouldn't want to play us just because I don't know if my quarterback will be upright for my next game.
Yeah,
I mean, again, we've been doing all of this without R. Mason Thomas. There's no one we're playing. There's no one who would be a first round matchup with us that I really think has like a dominant O line.
no,
Dominant. I mean, you have to be. You've got to have NFL tackles to handle our pass rush.
and if you don't, Chris Mason, guess what's happening to a lot of these teams? We're forcing them to change their entire game plan from what they want to do. LSU doesn't run that shit. They don't. They run screens. They run different things like that. They had to do everything they could to get the ball out of his hands quickly because we were coming.
Yeah, and we were, and you know, we're just again defensively. I've heard people say, "Well, the OU's defense isn't that good." I'm just like, okay, that's like the. I mean, Chris Felica clearly has fallen on his head talking about some of the crap he's been posting, and obviously a bear ate his brain because I don't know what he's doing. I mean, Joel Klatt is just he's a Big Ten shill. Fornelli on cover three. Dude, you're an Illinois football fan, and you're telling me anything about college football? Give me a freaking break. Give me a break.
I,
Give me. I mean, Big Ten shills talking about OU having bad offense. Is this a joke? You come from the worst football conference for offense over the last 2 decades, and you're talking about OU. OU is defensively focused. You're from the Big Ten. Give me a break.
James Stricey says, "Hell, Auburn, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, and LSU were in their bags throwing trick plays at us to move the ball." Enough said. Chris Mason, I look. We could go
You're on fumes, man. I hear you.
we
You're
could
right.
go on and on and on and on about this, but
We will. Trust us, guys. We're coming back for this. You didn't get our LSU recap, but we'll be back with some stuff coming up.
we'll be back. People for sure. Chris Mason, I think we'll be on at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, or
Yeah, we'll be back at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. I'll probably be doing some stuff in the morning with Jason. Just keep an eye out on my Twitter for that. I'll be posting where I'm going to be, but I'll definitely be back Wednesday night. Chris, if you're available, welcome to come on board. We can talk a little bit about the class in depth, the guys we like, give some grades and do some stuff like that. But 8 o'clock, we're probably going to come back and do a wrap-up show. We can talk about what the coaches have talked about because they'll have all their interviews and Brent will do his stuff and all that. So we'll
I
have
think
all that.
they're gonna have some of the recruits and everything on. They're having like some special that night as well on Wednesday from like 7 to 10. So
Yeah, on some of the other sites, but we'll have our focus session where we'll talk about stuff. But yeah, it's National Signing Day. It's not what it was, but it's still very exciting. And we'll go from there. But yeah, definitely, I'll have a podcast for you guys on Thursday because Wednesday's signing day. It's too much stuff going on for me. So I'll do a pod on Thursday to update you guys on what's going on for all my regular Podster listeners or video watchers on YouTube. But Chris and I will do some stuff, and we gotta have a season wrap up conversation a little bit at some point.
oh yeah,
Regular season wrap up chat in the 2 weeks leading up to hopefully our playoff game. So keep an eye for that spirited discussion. But we got to do a little bit of that as well. But yeah, we got stuff coming for you guys.
all right. So with that being said, people, we are out of here. Bevo, I know that you were in here. Horns down.
Enjoy I don't know, whatever suck ass bowl you get because Vandy gets the better bowl.
Hey,